This is Solo in the Shop. This week I want to talk about firing customers and recognizing red flags that may indicate that you and a customer just aren't compatible. Let's jump right in. Whether you are a hobbyist, weekend warrior, making commissions for friends and family, or already a full-time maker, if you are solo in your shop, this is the show for you. I'm Ronald Lowe's, the host of Solo in the Shop, a woodworking podcast discussing everything from current projects, tools and techniques, decisions around running a small business, and much more. So if you frequently find yourself alone and covered in sawdust, follow my journey and we can be solo in the shop together. Hello, friends. I had several thoughts about what to talk about this week, and the dominating idea came from an interaction that I had last week with a prospect that just soured me on that relationship, and I realized that I was setting myself up for a project and an interaction and a relationship that I didn't want any part of. And I'll tell the whole story shortly, but what I learned from it is that there is power, grace, comfort in recognizing that you're adding a potentially stressful or even harmful project to your workload, and you should be in control of that. You should be the one who decides, yes, I want to take something on, or no, this is going to upset the balance in my life or potentially be a financial problem. In every business, not every potential client is a perfect fit, and there needs to be a way for us to recognize red flags, and the earlier we can detect those red flags, the better it is, because we can save time, money, and stress. So my personal experience last week was the culmination of a conversation with a prospect about building a wooden top for a kitchen island. It wasn't huge. It wasn't hugely expensive, but we had been talking since November, and this is now mid-January, and we had agreed on a price and agreed on the deposit, but the deposit was never paid. And I kept reminding him, gently, hey, if you want to get into my queue, I need the deposit before we can start. And I was constantly reassured, yep, the deposit's coming. Then at the beginning of last week on my Money Hunt Monday, I sent yet another reminder, and he's like, it's after the holidays. Let me get this taken care of. I will pay you tomorrow. Great. Now I know what you're thinking. He never paid. But the payment isn't the issue. That wasn't the red flag. I understand that people are busy. It was the holidays. He's a small business owner himself. I can look past that. But what happened was a couple days later, he sends me a message saying, how do I know you're a real person and that this isn't a scam? Now, we had a conversation just like that in November. And my response was to make a video live and address him by name. We'll say his name is Joey. And I said, hey, Joey, it's Ron Lowe's. I'm in my shop. Here's the projects that are going on. Today's date is this. Just wanted to give you some confidence that this is me and this is what I really do. And I look forward to working with you. That seemed to give him comfort, and we proceeded. And now he's come back and said, I'm not sure that you are who you say you are. We've been texting for 2 months, and I can't prove that your phone number and your name and your face all go together. And I was like, you've been texting with me for 2 months about a relatively low price project. I've sent you the video. You've recommended me to contractor friends of yours, but yet you're still wary that maybe I'm not who I say I am. So I made another video saying, hey, Joey, it's me, Ron. I'm in my shop. Here's what I'm working on. It's snowing outside. Here's the view from my shop. And I sent that. While I was recording that video, he sent me another message that read, "What's your real name, Muhammad?" And that's when I knew. That one sentence had so much weight of insecurity, xenophobia, prejudice, that I had no desire to work with this person. All I could imagine is, what's it going to be like when I finish a project and have to go to his house to deliver? Am I just going to have to tolerate slurs and right-wing nonsense? And I was like, I want no part of that. And there's really no price that I would just look past that. So I immediately wrote back, "Sorry, I tried, but I'm out. I'm not doing this." Maybe an hour goes by and he sends me a screenshot where he's done a reverse lookup on my phone number. And he's like, "Oh, you're getting closer." And I was like, "No, you can stop trying. I have decided we are not a good fit, and I'm not doing this project." Then I blocked him because I don't want to hear his attempts to reconcile his or excuse his behavior, or to, say, no, I was just kidding. So I went back into our chat history and I realized that there were signs that I was kind of missing, even from the very beginning. When we first started talking, he said, "I'm really worried about being scammed online. How do I know you're not a fraud?" And that's what made me send the first video. But then he, on his own, went to newenglandtablecompany.com and went to my About page and watched the video. And in the video, I wasn't even thinking about this, but in the video, next to me on the workbench is a Ryobi benchtop drill press. Admittedly, homeowner grade, but that's what I had, and I've had it for years. And so he wrote a text to me with a screenshot saying, "No real woodworker would have that drill press. You're a fraud." And as I scrolled through, I thought he was joking. At the time, I was like, yeah. And eventually he was like, "Yeah, Ryobi's okay. That's fine." But I scrolled through, and there were multiple times over those 2 months where he kept implying that I was a fraud. And I realized that he has some insecurity. And, I sell 99% of what I do online. And if he has no confidence in buying from me that way, despite all my efforts, at some point I have to say, okay, I have to let this one go. And then when you pile on the xenophobia, I was out. I'm like, our personalities are not compatible, and I'm out. So you really need to trust your instinct. And there's many reasons why somebody might be a bad fit and what their red flags are. Mine was this fraud thing, but there's lots, right? Somebody having unrealistic expectations. We make handmade furniture. If they're expecting, big factory production level perfection, maybe that's a red flag. Poor communication. I've mentioned in previous podcasts that's a deal breaker for me, that if I'm texting you or leaving messages for you and I don't hear back from you for days, that's a problem, because I get held up if I can't get an answer to a question. And then also just lack of clarity, right? If somebody just says, "Oh, I trust you, just make whatever you want," I'm like, well, that's no assurance that you're going to love what I make. Having clear expectations, having realistic expectations, those are very important. Having inconsistent communication, or the opposite, micromanagement, where they want to see everything and they want to talk about, what tools you're using, what sandpaper you're using. I understand people have preferences about finishes and eco-friendly products. That's all fine. But I don't want somebody crawling up my butt every day about a project that's going to take 2 weeks. That is just too much. Trying to get the price down is another red flag for me. We produce handmade, essentially objects of art that are functional pieces of furniture for their home. Trying to get that at IKEA rock bottom prices is insulting and a deal breaker for me. I need to be able to say, look, if you are looking for discount prices, I am not the best fit for you. What I really want to be able to do is to put a little humor in that and not just come off like a tool. So I had mentioned this in my woodworking group, and Paul Menzel from Philadelphia Table Company sent me some ad copy that I think sums up exactly my sentiment for this part where, it's like, you may not be my perfect customer. So I'm just going to real quick read this copy. Arrogant Bastard Ale isn't for the faint of heart. This bold, assertive brew packs a punch that might leave the casual beer drinker bewildered. If you crave a tame, predictable pint, steer clear. This is a beer for those who relish a complex, unapologetically robust flavor profile and aren't afraid to embrace a little bit of attitude with their drink. I think that's brilliant. And I would love to say something along the lines of, our furniture is not for everyone. It is for people who are appreciating the natural beauty of wood, the value of craftsmanship, the timelessness of handmade furniture. So if you are looking for utilitarian, deep discount, low-priced furniture, I am not the maker for you. But at the same time, there's other qualifiers, right? All the red flags we've talked about that would need to go into that. If you just want to watch every single thing that I do, I might not be the person for you. I forget where I heard it, but there is a phrase that I like, a question that I like, that when someone starts to get a little too micromanaging, I like to ask, if the table that we're making were a movie, do you see yourself as the moviegoer, the writer, or the director? The moviegoer is just going to receive the finished product. The writer is going to describe the product, the film, in great detail, but then leave it to the filmmakers to actually do the making. And the director is participating in the project daily. And the best fit for me is the writer. I love someone who has an opinion and wants to get their vision realized, but I need to be the director. I need to be the one deciding, this is how I'm going to make it. This is how I'm going to take what you've described and what we've agreed and make it reality. It's important to establish boundaries and to make it clear, whether it's using, the filmmaking metaphor or using an actual legal document like a contract or a list of milestones to set expectations. So setting those boundaries is important to make sure that the whole relationship is going to work and that your potential client understands those boundaries. It's important to trust your gut. If something feels off like it did for me, that's a red flag, and you need to listen to that and trust yourself. You're probably right. If in doubt, is there a way to do a trial period or a smaller project to kind of test the waters and see how it is working together? Now, let's say you've already engaged with a client and it's just going sideways. It's not too late to manage expectations and set boundaries. It's either an email or a phone call and say, this is what I see going on with our project, and for this to work out well, this is what I need to see happen. If you have a contract, it'd be great if you had an early termination clause, which allows either party to exit gracefully if things aren't working out. And then there is, unfortunately, the power of no, which is even in the middle of things. If you need to refund money and just say, nope, I'm out, that may be the best option. If a working relationship is not functioning correctly and you've made attempts like marriage counseling and it's just not working out, then the best option probably is to say, look, for both our benefits, I'm going to refund your money and we're just going to go our separate ways. So set yourself up for success by vetting clients. The more conversations you can have, probably the better sense you'll get for what kind of customer you're getting and what kind of project experience you're going to have. As you get more and more experience with sales and projects, hopefully you're building up a catalog of red flags and recognizing the types of customers that you really enjoy working with and the type of customers you want to avoid. So it's important to know when to say yes and when to say no. You need to protect your time, energy, and resources so that your company can grow effectively and that you have the best experience running your small business. Those are my thoughts for this week. I can't wait to talk to you again soon. Until then, stay safe in your shop. If you have questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, feel free to reach out to me at SoloInTheShop@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you got value from it and would like to help the show grow, I'd appreciate a review wherever you listen. Be sure to check the show notes for links to my socials or any extra stuff we discussed today. Until next time, stay safe in your shop, and we'll talk again soon.